Hey friends, welcome to my channel. What if the most beautiful object in your home was also the most dangerous? What if its enchanting tunes were actually a sinister invitation to something far darker? Tonight, we're unlocking the terrifying secrets of cursed music boxes, exploring how these seemingly innocent artifacts became instruments of pure dread. This isn't a fairy tale. These are real stories of innocent melodies that turned into nightmares. People believed these antique music boxes were harmless, but they were wrong. You'll never look at a vintage music box the same way again after hearing the haunting true stories behind their sinister melodies. Are you ready to hear the secrets they hold? Prelude to the Cursed Cadence. Imagine a beautiful music box, its delicate melody filling your home with an ethereal calm. The tiny ballerina twirls, the golden mechanism ticks with precision, and for a moment everything feels peaceful. Innocent. Now imagine that same melody slowly twisting into something else. Something wrong. The notes becoming discordant, stretching out like fingers reaching through the darkness. And suddenly, that music box isn't just playing a tune anymore. It's calling to something. Inviting something into your home. Music boxes were invented in the late 18th century in Switzerland, crafted by watchmakers who wanted to create something magical. They were symbols of refinement, of love, of precious moments preserved in mechanical memory. They played at weddings, christenings, and quiet evenings by the fire. They were passed down from mother to daughter, grandmother to grandchild, carrying with them the warmth of family history. But not all of them carried warmth. Some music boxes absorbed something else entirely. Grief, rage, malevolence. And once that darkness seeped into their delicate mechanisms, the melodies they played became something far more sinister than their creators ever intended. Tonight I'm going to share 3 documented cases with you. 3 music boxes that brought terror to their owners. And I'm going to ask you to consider something unsettling. What if these objects aren't just passive recipients of negative energy? What if they're active participants in the horror they create? Let's dive into the case files. The Whispering Echoes. Case File 1. The Anneliese Music Box. Sarah Chen found it at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon, in October 2019. The music box sat on a table among Depression-era glass and yellowed photograph albums, somehow standing out despite the clutter around it. It was beautiful, hand-painted porcelain featuring a delicate ballerina frozen mid-pirouette. Her porcelain face serene, almost hypnotic. The estate liquidator told Sarah it had belonged to Anneliese Hoffmann, a German immigrant who had lived alone in the house for over 60 years. She'd died there 3 weeks earlier at the age of 93. No family came to claim her possessions. Sarah paid $40 for the music box. She thought it was a steal. The melody it played was a German lullaby, haunting and ethereal. Sarah wound it up that first night and placed it on her nightstand, letting the tinkling notes lull her to sleep. That's when the nightmares began. In her dreams, Sarah stood in a dark nursery. An old-fashioned crib sat in the corner, but it was empty except for stained blankets. The wallpaper was peeling, revealing rot underneath. And somewhere in that room the music box was playing. But she couldn't find it. The melody came from everywhere and nowhere, growing louder and more distorted until Sarah woke up screaming. Night after night the same dream, the same nursery. And each time she ventured deeper into that horrible room, compelled to search for the music box even though every instinct screamed at her to run. By the second week, things escalated beyond dreams. Sarah began hearing the music box playing when it wasn't wound up. She'd be in the kitchen making coffee, and the distant melody would drift down from her bedroom. She'd rush upstairs to find the ballerina completely still, the mechanism silent. Then the poltergeist activity started. Objects in her apartment began moving on their own. She'd place her keys on the counter and find them in the bathroom sink. Books flew off shelves. Her bedroom door would slam shut in the middle of the night with such force that it woke her neighbors. But the worst part, the whispers. Sarah started hearing a woman's voice speaking in German, always when the music box played, whether wound by Sarah's hand or by something else entirely. She recorded it one night on her phone. When she had it translated, the words made her blood run cold. She's mine. She's always been mine. The cradle is empty, but not for long. Sarah researched Anneliese Hoffman's history. What she discovered explained everything and nothing at all. In 1962, Anneliese had given birth to a daughter in that very house. The child died 3 days later, cause unknown. Anneliese never recovered from the loss. Neighbors reported hearing her wind up that music box every night for decades, playing the same lullaby over and over in the nursery she refused to change. She died in that room, they said. Found beside the empty crib, the music box clutched in her hands. Sarah tried to get rid of the music box. She threw it away. It appeared back on her nightstand. She drove it to Goodwill. It was waiting for her when she got home. She tried to smash it with a hammer, but her hand froze mid-swing, paralyzed by an invisible force. Finally, in desperation, Sarah contacted a paranormal investigator. The woman took one look at the music box and refused to touch it. Instead, she gave Sarah an address, a private collector in Seattle who specialized in containing cursed objects. The collector agreed to take it but warned Sarah, "Objects like this don't forget their owners. You may have freed yourself from it, but it remembers you. Don't be surprised if you still hear the melody sometimes. In the spaces between waking and sleep. That's when they're strongest." Sarah moved to a different city. She still hears the lullaby sometimes, she says. Always at 3 a.m. Always in German. Case File 2. The Blackwood Lullaby. In 1998, the Blackwood family of Charleston, South Carolina purchased a Victorian music box at an antique auction. It was an exquisite piece, rosewood inlaid with mother-of-pearl, playing a haunting melody that the auctioneer couldn't identify. The Blackwoods paid $800 for it, their single largest purchase at the auction. They brought it home on a Saturday. By Monday, Marcus Blackwood had lost his job at the law firm where he'd worked for 15 years. Downsizing, they said. Completely unexpected. Within 2 weeks, their daughter Emma was diagnosed with a mysterious illness that baffled doctors. She developed a high fever and began speaking in her sleep, always the same phrase repeated over and over. The price must be paid. The debt comes due. The family's financial situation deteriorated rapidly. Their investments collapsed. Medical bills mounted. Their credit cards were mysteriously maxed out with charges they hadn't made, charges the banks insisted were legitimate. Marcus's wife, Patricia, became convinced the music box was responsible. She noticed that whenever it played, and it seemed to wind itself up every night at exactly midnight, something terrible would happen the next day. Car accident, a rejection letter, a friendship destroyed by sudden, inexplicable conflict. Patricia researched the music box's provenance and uncovered a disturbing pattern. The box had belonged to 5 different families over the past century, and every single one had suffered catastrophic misfortune, bankruptcy, suicide, accidental deaths. The music box survived them all, always resurfacing at estate sales and auctions, always finding a new family to torment. The most chilling discovery came from a journal entry written in 1934 by a woman named Margaret Thornton, a previous owner. The melody is different now. It used to play a cheerful waltz, but now it plays a funeral dirge. I tried to stop winding it, but it winds itself. I tried to silence it, but the silence is worse, filled with whispers of debts unpaid and prices that must be collected. My husband says I'm imagining things, but he doesn't hear what I hear. The music box is counting down to something. And I fear we'll all be here when it reaches 0. Margaret Thornton's entire family died in a house fire 3 weeks after that entry. The music box was the only object that survived intact. The Blackwoods attempted to destroy it. Marcus took an axe to it in the backyard, but the wood wouldn't split. They tried burning it, but it wouldn't catch flame. They threw it into Charleston Harbor, weighted down with chains. It was back in their living room the next morning, completely dry, playing its melody. Finally, they contacted Father Dominic Russo, a priest known for performing exorcisms. Father Russo spent 3 days with a music box, performing various rituals of cleansing and banishment. On the 3rd day, he emerged from the room pale and shaking. "There's something in there," he told them. "Something old and hungry. Can't remove it. I can only recommend you lock it away and never ever open it again." The Blackwoods donated it anonymously to the Charleston Museum with a detailed warning about its history. The museum accepted it but kept it in storage, unwilling to display it. Staff members reported that sometimes, late at night when the museum was empty, security cameras would catch the faint sound of music coming from the storage room. The Blackwoods' fortunes eventually recovered, but the damage to their family was permanent. Emma never fully recovered from her illness. Marcus and Patricia divorced. The family scattered across the country, none of them willing to stay in Charleston. And the music box. It remains in storage to this day, supposedly locked in a climate-controlled vault. But former museum employees have reported a disturbing phenomenon. Every few years, the music box disappears from storage, only to turn up at local estate sales and antique shops, ready to find a new family.